Okay, now that we know how to create equivalent fractions, let's practice. So here we have a problem that says we have 7/10. So we want to represent 7 out of 10 pieces, but we want it now to be cut into 30 pieces. So we want to have the same fractional amount. If we were to draw it out, we'd want to have the same amount shaded, but we want it to be out of 30 pieces this time instead of just 10. Well, if you'll remember from how we learned to create those equivalent fractions, if we multiply 10 times 3, we get 30. So we have to do the exact same thing on the top so that we're really just multiplying by 1 and we're not really changing it, we're just dressing it up a little different. So 7 times 3 would be 21. If we were to shade 21 out of 30 pieces, it would look exactly the same as shading 7 out of 10 pieces. So we've created now an equivalent fraction. Okay, let's try one more of those. Here we have 3 halves, which is, more than a whole one. If you had 3 shaded out of 2, you'd have, a whole pizza and then part of another. So we want to shade that exact same amount, but this time we want to have 64 pieces rather than just 2. So we have to decide what we're going to multiply by. 2 times what would give us 64? Well, if we don't know that off the top of our head, which we probably don't, I wouldn't, I'd have to work things out just like you guys do. In order to figure out what we have to multiply by 2 to get 64, we could go backwards and do the division. 64 divided by 2, let's see, 2 would go into 6 3 times. 3 times 2 would be 6. Drop your 4. 2 would go into 4 2 times. 2 times 2 would be 4. So if I multiply 2 times 32, we get 64. As long as we do the exact same thing to the top, then we're just multiplying by 1. So we're not changing it, we're just dressing it up differently. Now 3 times 32, if I were to have to multiply that out, 3 times 2 would be 6, 3 times 3 would be 9, so that would be 96 over 64. Now we have created an equivalent fraction that has the exact same meaning as 3 halves.